2026 is shaping up to be one of the most dramatic years in U.S. gun law history. Starting February 1st, 2026, 9 states, including California, New York, and Illinois, have announced plans to ban assault weapons, impacting millions of gun owners nationwide. At the same time, the Supreme Court's landmark ruling on February 28, 2026, has redefined Second Amendment rights, potentially affecting everything from purchasing to ownership rules. The Department of Justice has already stated it will challenge enforcement in certain states, creating a legal tug-of-war that could leave gun owners uncertain about what's legal and what's not. In this video, we'll break down exactly which states are enforcing bans, which models of firearms are affected, the key Supreme Court decisions, and what steps you need to take before February 15, 2026, to stay compliant and protect your rights. Missing this could mean facing fines or worse without even realizing it. Stay with us, because by the end of this video, you'll know how to navigate the 2026 gun law shakeup safely and legally. Adding to this upheaval is the Supreme Court's historic ruling on February 28, 2026, which has created a complicated patchwork of rights and restrictions. While the court confirmed certain individual rights under the Second Amendment, it also granted states unprecedented authority to define assault-style weapons and regulate their sale, possession, and registration. This duality means that a firearm legally owned in one state may now be illegal in another, creating potential legal traps for anyone who travels or moves across state lines. Federal authorities have already stated that violations crossing state borders will be prosecuted, signaling that ignorance of these new laws will no longer be a valid defense. Many gun owners are experiencing panic and confusion. Social media platforms are flooded with stories of citizens wondering if their firearms are now considered illegal. Collectors, who often own multiple models, are particularly vulnerable. Analysts estimate that more than 2.5 million firearms nationwide could be impacted, including popular semi-automatic rifles, certain pistols, and other assault-style firearms. Legal experts warn that even loaning a banned weapon to a friend or family member in another state could result in federal charges, making previously common practices risky. The timeline is critical. California and New York are leading with strict enforcement beginning March 15, 2026, while other states like Illinois and Massachusetts have set February 1, 2026 as the final deadline for compliance. Many states are providing short amnesty periods, allowing residents to surrender banned firearms or register them legally without facing criminal charges. However, these windows are very limited, often lasting no more than 30 days. Missing these deadlines could result in immediate legal action, including fines, license revocation, or even imprisonment. Economic repercussions are also rippling through the firearms industry. Gun manufacturers are racing to produce compliant models that meet the new legal definitions, while gun shows are seeing attendance spikes of over 50% compared to last year, as buyers attempt to secure weapons before the bans take effect. Online marketplaces are under scrutiny, with platforms being forced to remove non-compliant listings, leading to delays and cancellations that frustrate buyers. The result is a highly charged, almost chaotic market environment where being uninformed can be extremely costly. Each of the 9 states has its own set of rules, making compliance a complex task. In California, anyone owning a banned firearm must register it by March 31, 2026, or face fines and criminal charges. The state has also issued guidelines specifying which modifications may render a weapon compliant, adding another layer of technical detail for owners to navigate. New York has implemented similar rules, with strict enforcement in urban areas like New York City and Albany, where authorities are prepared to conduct inspections and audits. In Illinois, authorities have announced that failure to surrender banned firearms will result in mandatory confiscation and criminal charges, emphasizing that deadlines are not flexible. Massachusetts, Connecticut, Hawaii, Maryland, and Washington each have nuanced variations, but all enforce heavy penalties for non-compliance, creating a patchwork of laws that can be confusing even for legal experts. The Supreme Court ruling adds a national dimension to this crisis. By redefining the interpretation of the Second Amendment, the court has confirmed that states can impose restrictions on certain types of firearms, despite federal protections. This has led to intense debate across the country. Gun rights organizations argue that these rulings infringe on constitutional freedoms, while state governments insist they are necessary for public safety. The Department of Justice has also weighed in, stating that it will monitor enforcement across state lines and pursue legal action against violations, setting the stage for potential landmark cases in the coming months. For gun owners, the consequences are immediate and tangible. Imagine a collector in California who owns multiple semi-automatic rifles. By March 16, 2026, if their firearms are not registered or surrendered, they could be subject to criminal investigation. Traveling to a neighboring state like Nevada with the same weapons could trigger federal charges, since Nevada law treats certain assault-style weapons differently. The stakes are high, and the margin for error is extremely small. Legal experts recommend consulting with attorneys, reviewing state-specific bans, and documenting all compliance steps, because ignorance is no longer a shield. Beyond individual consequences, the societal impact is significant. Schools, public spaces, and local communities are bracing for changes in firearms accessibility, while law enforcement agencies are training officers on new compliance protocols. Some states are implementing special task forces to monitor bans, while others are establishing hotlines and online portals to assist residents in navigating the legal requirements. The coordination, or lack thereof, between state and federal authorities will likely shape how smoothly these laws are enforced. Gun owners are not without options. Many states offer voluntary registration programs, allowing residents to declare their firearms and avoid penalties. Others provide amnesty surrender windows, ensuring that compliance can be achieved without criminal repercussions. However, timing is critical. Experts emphasize that acting early, before deadlines like March 31 or February 1, 2026, can make the difference between staying compliant and facing legal trouble. Planning, documentation, and awareness of specific banned models are essential. The ripple effects are also economic. Gun manufacturers, facing new restrictions, are producing compliant models at record speed. Retailers are reporting sales surges of over 40% for firearms that meet legal requirements, while non-compliant models are being pulled from shelves. Online marketplaces like Gunbroker and Arms List have implemented filters to flag banned weapons, but delays and errors are inevitable. This market pressure highlights the urgent need for gun owners to act immediately and strategically, lest they find themselves unable to legally purchase or sell firearms in the near future. As we move deeper into 2026, the legal landscape will continue to evolve. Court cases challenging state bans are already being filed, and the DOJ has indicated it will challenge enforcement loopholes aggressively. Gun owners must monitor news updates, track court rulings, and ensure their compliance efforts are documented. Failure to do so could result in penalties that are both financial and criminal, including fines exceeding $10,000, revocation of firearm licenses, and possible imprisonment. The next sections of this video will provide a state-by-state breakdown showing exactly what is banned, the specific firearms affected, registration requirements, deadlines, and penalties. We will also analyze the Supreme Court decision in detail, highlighting key takeaways that every gun owner should know. By the end of this video, you will have a comprehensive roadmap to protect your firearms and your rights in 2026, ensuring you stay compliant while navigating one of the most significant gun law shakeups in recent history. Stay with us because the clock is ticking. The choices you make today could define your legal standing for the rest of the year and potentially your entire life as a gun owner. Ignorance is no longer an option. Being informed, proactive, and strategic is the only way to safely navigate 2026. As we dive deeper into 2026, the real challenge for gun owners becomes clear: navigating a patchwork of laws across multiple states while staying fully compliant with both state and federal regulations. Let's start by looking more closely at California, one of the strictest states in terms of gun control. California's new assault weapon ban, effective March 15, 2026, is not just about possession. It also includes restrictions on manufacturing, importing, and transferring firearms. Firearms that fall under the assault weapon category include specific models of AR-15s, AK-47s, and several semi-automatic pistols. Violating this law could result in up to 12 months in county jail or fines exceeding $10,000, and authorities have already announced they will conduct inspections in areas with high firearm ownership rates. For gun owners who own multiple firearms, this means carefully reviewing each model against the state's banned list and taking action before deadlines pass. New York follows a similar timeline, with enforcement beginning March 15, 2026, and mandatory registration required by March 31, 2026. What makes New York particularly tricky is its urban enforcement strategy. Cities like New York City and Albany have set up specialized task forces to ensure compliance, meaning that failure to register a firearm could trigger immediate legal action. Additionally, New York law explicitly prohibits the possession of certain modifications, such as extended magazines, adjustable stocks, or flash suppressors, which adds another layer of complexity for gun owners who may have legally purchased these items before the ban. Experts warn that even minor modifications could make a firearm illegal, emphasizing the need for careful compliance and legal consultation. Illinois has announced mandatory surrender requirements. Anyone owning banned firearms must either register them or surrender them to authorities by February 1, 2026. Those who fail to comply could face confiscation and criminal charges, including felony convictions. Illinois has also stated that law enforcement will focus on firearms that cross state lines. So individuals who travel to neighboring states like Indiana or Wisconsin with banned weapons could face federal prosecution. This makes understanding the intersection of state and federal law more important than ever. Moving to Massachusetts, Connecticut, Hawaii, Maryland, and Washington, each state has nuanced variations. In Massachusetts, banned firearms include specific semi-automatic rifles and pistols, with fines for non-compliance ranging from $5,000 to $8,000. Connecticut has a tiered penalty system. First-time violators may face fines, while repeat offenders risk jail time. Hawaii and Maryland emphasize registration, and Washington requires a combination of registration and safe storage measures. Across all these states, the common theme is urgency. Compliance is mandatory, deadlines are short, and penalties are significant. The Supreme Court ruling on February 28, 2026, further complicates matters. While it reinforces certain Second Amendment rights, it simultaneously allows states to define assault weapons and enforce bans. This duality creates a legal gray area where a firearm may be legal under federal interpretation, but illegal under state law. The DOJ has already stated it will monitor cross-border violations and prosecute cases where a firearm legally owned in one state is transported to a state where it is banned. Legal experts caution that even temporary possession in a different state could be considered a federal violation. To illustrate the stakes, consider the story of Mark, a collector from Los Angeles who owns multiple AR-15 variants. By March 16, 2026, Mark realized he had not registered 2 of his rifles in California. He rushed to comply, but found that the local registry office was overwhelmed with applications, creating delays. Meanwhile, Mark needed to attend a family wedding in Nevada. Even a short trip across state lines with his unregistered firearms could have triggered federal prosecution, highlighting the urgent need to plan carefully and comply ahead of deadlines. Another critical aspect is amnesty and voluntary registration programs. Several states have announced short-term programs allowing residents to surrender or register firearms without facing criminal charges. For instance, California offers a 45-day amnesty window for voluntary registration, while New York provides a similar opportunity ending March 31st, 2026. However, these windows are narrow, and failing to act promptly could result in serious consequences. Gun owners must document their actions, keep receipts or confirmation letters, and maintain proof of compliance, as law enforcement agencies may request verification during audits or inspections. The impact on the firearms market cannot be understated. Manufacturers are rushing to produce compliant firearms, and gun shops are experiencing unprecedented traffic. Some stores report sales increases of 40–60% for firearms that meet the new legal definitions. Online marketplaces are updating listings to reflect state-specific bans, but delays and errors are inevitable. This creates a highly competitive environment where buyers who wait risk being unable to purchase firearms legally. Collectors and enthusiasts must also consider modifications and accessories. Items such as extended magazines, flash suppressors, and adjustable stocks are often included in the ban. Even firearms legally owned prior to 2026 may become non-compliant if they contain these modifications. Owners are advised to either remove banned accessories, modify their firearms to meet legal standards, or surrender them during the amnesty period. Legal consultation is strongly recommended to ensure that actions taken are fully compliant. Enforcement strategies vary by state but share a common goal: ensure compliance and minimize public risk. Law enforcement agencies have announced inspections, audits, and community outreach programs to educate residents. Failure to comply can result in fines, criminal charges, and confiscation of firearms. The federal government has also stated that it will coordinate with state authorities, particularly in cases where violations involve interstate travel. This dual enforcement mechanism makes timely action essential for all gun owners. Finally, the broader social and cultural implications are profound. Communities are adjusting to changing gun laws, and public spaces, schools, and workplaces are preparing for stricter enforcement. Law-abiding citizens must navigate these changes carefully to avoid unintentional violations. Advocacy groups are mobilizing to provide legal guidance, and media outlets are closely covering court challenges that may shape enforcement in the months ahead. The environment is dynamic, and staying informed is no longer optional. It is a necessity.